If I asked anyone, would you rather make a good decision or a bad decision? I'm pretty certain that no one would tell me, I think I'd like to make a bad decision. To illustrate bad decisions, let me start with a little story. Here on the screen is a picture of me as a little boy with my dad. Now look at that face. You can't imagine that I would ever make a bad decision, right? Well, let me tell you what I did. But real quick, if you would, consider subscribing, liking, sharing, and maybe even leave a comment. It really does help me out. Also, jump over to my website where you can download a free ebook from me. The link is down in the description. Now back to my story. Let's go back to the day when car seats and seat belts and kids sitting in the back seat for safety was kind of an unheard thing. When I was a wee lad of about 5 years old, I would sit in the front seat next to my mother in the car. And when we would first get in the car, she would let me turn the key to start it. Well, on one occasion, we had just got in the car and we were in our driveway before we left the house. Mom had already put the key in the ignition and then ran back in the house to grab something. Well, I thought, while I'm waiting for Mom, to come back out, I would just start the car for her. What could go wrong? So I proceeded to slide over into the driver's seat and I started the car. And then since Mom usually moved that lever thing, I thought, well, I would just do that too. So I put the car in reverse. Oh, and then I managed to reach my foot down and slide down and put my foot on the gas pedal. By the time that my mother got back out, I was already starting to move backwards out of the driveway. In a panic, my mother tried to jump into the car. She jumped into a partially open door and got about halfway in. At this time, I was moving at a pretty good speed, backing out of the driveway, dragging my mother along halfway out the door. I drove the car backwards out of the driveway, across the street, through the neighbor's front yard, and up their steps right into their door. Not a good day. Not a good decision. So what did I learn, or what can we learn from this story? Well, there's a ton of lessons that we could learn from this story. We could also, really point fingers in a number of directions about who made a bad decision. Maybe I was too young for my mom to give me that sense that it was okay to turn the key, and maybe she shouldn't have left me in the car while she ran in the house. Maybe I was making a bad decision thinking I was going to help Mom out. I know while this is a funny story now, and we could point fingers in a lot of directions and argue who made bad decisions, I want to take a moment to just talk about making good decisions. If we don't have a process for making good decisions, we're going to likely make impulse decisions and do just what feels right in the moment based on our emotions. Those decisions might feel good in the short term because the immediate pressure is lifted off us from having to make a decision anymore, but often those impulse decisions don't serve us well in the long term. I know there are some of you out there that can ruminate over a decision and consider what to do and then really never even make a decision. Others have a tendency to live in the moment and make choices based on feelings. I don't want to completely diminish the importance of feelings, but very often bad decisions are made in the heat of the moment and are oftentimes based almost solely on feelings. I really want to date that person, and in the back of my mind, that could be a train wreck, but they're really good looking. Or I'm kind of bored and I want something new. So maybe I'm just going to go to the car lot and look around at some cars, even though I don't really need a new car and I'm kind of cash strapped. We may know deep down inside that these things that we're about to choose really aren't the best choice, but we might justify it because deep down inside, we want that thing, even though we might know it's not the best decision. Frankly, sometimes we've been through similar things in the past where we either didn't learn or are ignoring the lesson that we should have learned. Stop and think. What is the outcome that you want? Not just what is the immediate feeling that you're after, but what will be the best outcome? We don't have to be slaves to our feelings. What do you have to decide to do to move in that desired direction, even if it takes more work or sacrifice? You can and need to control yourselves. Given the opportunity to exercise restraint, you can make better decisions. Slow down and choose rightly. Again, if we always do what we've always done, we'll always get what we've always got. Another thing that we need to be aware of is that other people in our lives very well may get drug along in our bad decisions. We live in a world that I believe is starting to see some of the consequences of self-focused living, and I believe it's beginning also to realize that maybe self-focused living is not all that it's cracked up to be. Pause and think about the impact of your decisions in relation to those around you. How might this affect them? We don't live in a bubble. There are consequences to actions. Even if you don't drag others in, which, like I said, often happens, and sometimes I don't think we even see the impact of those decisions, we're still going to be dragging our own future into it. It's likely that decisions that we've made, a year ago, a month ago, some time ago, maybe still producing an outcome in our life today. Before you turn the key, before you put it in gear, before you hit the gas, pause and think. You'll be glad you did. Thank you for joining me today for A Word to the Wise. My name is Doug Ebertowski. If this has been helpful for you, maybe consider subscribing, liking, sharing, leave a comment. Also, jump over to my website. The link is down in the description. There you can download a free ebook from me. And last but not least, maybe check out some of my other videos. Until next time, be wise.